Hey folks, welcome back to my channel. My name is Darshana Jain. In part 1 of this video, we have seen the drafting of the kurta. In this video, we will see how to cut the fabric and finally how to stitch the kurta. So let's begin. So let's see what materials we will require for this project. Number 1 is the fabric. Now I have used a khadi cotton fabric over here, and for this size I required 1 meter of fabric of 44-inch width. As far as possible, I would suggest you to choose fabrics like cotton because they are easy on your kid's skin. But in case you don't find the right cotton fabric for your project, you can opt for pure silk or soft silk and attach a cotton lining to it. Then you will require some bias bindings. For finishing the necklines and the corresponding seams and also the bottom hem of the sleeves, I will need these bias bindings, which I have cut on a contrast fabric. And the fabric is of the color of the dhoti, that is maroon color. The width of the bias binding here is 1.5 inches. And you can see that since it is a bias tape, that is it is cut diagonally, it stretches. So now let's start with laying and cutting of the fabric. Step number 1 is cutting the back panel. Back panel is to be cut on a fold, as you can see written on this panel. Lay the back panel pattern on the folded fabric like this. Trace it and give the following seam allowances. At the shoulder seam, give a seam allowance of half an inch. At the side seam also, I have given a seam allowance of half an inch. However, you can increase it to 1 inch if you want. At the bottom hem, add 1 inch seaming allowance. Now remove the pattern paper and cut along the marked lines. Now for cutting, I am using these pinking shears. If you can see, it has got these crisscross bristles. These are used especially when the fabric you are working on frays a lot, like see over here. The threads are coming out a lot. So when the fabric gets cut in a zigzag manner with such shears, it doesn't fray that much and it's easy working on the fabric. Now this is a tracing wheel. With this tracing wheel, trace the markings on the other side of the fabric. I will try to give the link of the tools I use in the description box. Now on the other side, you will get a marking made by the tracing wheel and then you have to trace on it this way. So now we are done with cutting the back panel and we will move to step number 2. Step number 2 is cutting the sleeves. Now look, since the fabric which I am using is pretty plain, you can't see which is the right side and which is the wrong side. So first I will explain you how to cut the pattern on this printed paper first. So assume that the printed paper is your fabric and the printed side is the right side. So fold the fabric such that the right side is inside and place it in this way, wrong side up. Now take your draft and place it on the wrong side in this way. Place the draft in such a way that there is enough margin on all sides, or at least the seam allowance margin. Now trace the pattern on the fabric. Mark the center and then give appropriate seam allowances and cut it. So now you can easily understand the method on the fabric. Follow the exact procedure on the fabric. Give necessary seaming allowances and cut the sleeves. At the bottom of the sleeves, I am giving a seaming allowance of just half an inch, since I am going to attach a piping to it. But if you are keeping it plain, then add 1 inch seaming allowance for folding. Give a small cut at the center of the sleeves. This we will need while attaching the sleeves. Once again, like the back panel, trace the markings on the other sleeve also. Now see, both the sleeves are cut. So now we will proceed to step number 3. Step number 3 is cutting the front panel. Now friends, you have to understand something here. See, the back panel was cut on a fold. So both right and left sides of the back panel were same. So it doesn't matter whichever way you place the draft, this way or in a reverse way. But note here that in case of front panels, both the right and left panels are different in shapes. So the method of placing it on fabric is also different. So look, on the right side, the pattern should look like this. But while cutting, you will need to place it on the wrong side of the fabric and cut it. So you will need to reverse it and place it on the fabric. I will show you how. Also note that since these are two separate panels, they are to be cut on single layer of fabric. Now lay the fabric like this, wrong side up. Reverse the patterns and lay it in this manner. Now add seaming allowances before cutting. Side seam half an inch, shoulder half an inch, bottom hem 1 inch. Do this for both the panels, right and left, and then cut. While marking the right panel, there is one point to be noted. Don't forget to mark the 3-inch marking point, because you will need to mark this 3-inch line on your fabric also. You will need this marking while stitching. Now cut on the marked lines. So, now both the right and the left panels are cut. It will look something like this. These are the wrong sides, as you can see the markings on this. Now turn them to the right side. So now, after placing one on another, overlapping each other, they will look something like this. Align the bottom hems properly. So now all our cutting is completed here. The front side, the back side and the sleeves. So let's begin with stitching now. Here also we will proceed step by step. Step number 1 is finishing the raw edges using piping or bias binding. First place the right side of the piping, that is the bias tape, on the wrong side of the fabric and start attaching in this way. While attaching, note a very important point that you have to stretch the piping while sewing. This will help you to get a smooth finishing of the piping on the right side. So see, I have sewn the piping on the wrong side like this. Now reverse this on the right side. And then on the right side, fold it inwards. And give a final stitch from top to bottom. As you can see, I have attached the piping on the left panel. Now let's attach the piping to the right panel. So turn it to the wrong side. Again place the right side of the piping on the wrong side of the fabric and start attaching. Once again I am repeating that while sewing the piping you have to stretch it. Don't finish the neckline now. Finish only up to this arc. I have sewn the piping now here. See, in this curve or arc I have given these small cuts. Now I will turn it to the right side and give a finishing stitch. So I have completed attaching the piping. It will look like this, both the panels. Now finish the neckline in the same manner. While finishing it, just leave an extra piping beyond the neckline because you will need that to tie a knot over here, this way. Now both the right panels are done. So now finish the back neckline also with piping in the similar way. This way. Now attach the piping to the bottom hem of the sleeves also in the similar way. On the wrong side, attach the piping and then reverse it and give the finishing stitch on the right side. Like this. Step number 2 is attaching the right and left of the front panel together. Take the front panel and then reverse it to the wrong side such that the wrong side is up. Now place the left panel on the 3-inch line which we had marked while tracing the pattern. Align the bottom hemlines of both the right and the left panels. And now attach them with pins to keep them in place before sewing. When you will turn them on the right side, you will get them like this, the right panel overlapping the left panel. Now, since both the panels are secured together with pins, you can conveniently give a stitch from here and attach them. This is how I have given a stitch and attached them together, both the panels. Step number 3 is attaching the front and back panels together. Now, place the right on right both the front and back panels and attach both the shoulder seams like this. As you can see, our both panels are attached now. Step number 4 is attaching the sleeves. Look, first we will start with the right sleeve. This curve is the front armhole curve as it is slightly deeper. So start by placing right on right. That is, the front armhole curves of both the sleeve and the kurta facing each other. Now first match the center cut of the sleeve with the shoulder seam and pin it. Then slowly go on attaching the sleeves with the bodice with pins. Do the job extremely carefully and slowly, especially if you are a beginner. Attach the back armhole curve in the same way. And then give a stitch all over. Now for the left sleeve, start attaching with back armhole curve first. Again, place right on right. You will notice this time that the back curve is not that deeper as compared to the front one. Proceed in the same way. Match the center of the sleeve with the shoulder seam and secure it with pins. And then give a stitch to attach it. Now I have stitched both the armhole curves and the sleeves are thus attached. The next step is to give the final fitting stitch at the side seams. First turn the kurti to the wrong side and then give a stitch from the seam allowance line marked. While giving the stitch, stop at a distance of 4 inch or 5 inch from the bottom hemline. This is for giving the side slit. So now, as you can see, I have given the side seam stitch and I have also finished the side slit on one side by folding the seams inward. I will show you how to stitch it on the other side. So see, these raw edges of the side seams we have to fold inward. This way, fold the side seams inward. If you are a beginner, pin it in place before stitching. Now look, both these side slit seams will look like this. Now you have to give a stitch from the corner of the seams like this. I will mark here for more clear understanding. Well then, as you can see, these slits are also stitched neatly. The next step is to finish the bottom hemline. Now this is very easy. Just fold it twice inward. First by half an inch and then further by half an inch and give a stitch all over. Now see, the bottom hemlines are also completed, and thus the entire kurta is stitched. Now comes the final step of completion. The final step is the overall finishing of the kurta. So here, at this point, attach one more dory so that you can tie a knot over here. At the end of the dories, see, I have attached these gota laces for giving a more traditional and a more ethnic look. At this point or at this end of the arc, I am going to stitch this fancy button. So yes, now the entire Angarakha Kurta is ready. See how beautiful this set is looking. In the dhoti I had made earlier, I have inserted a dory, and at the bottom of the dories also I have attached these gota laces. For those who haven't watched this Janmashtami dhoti video, I will give the link in the description box. One final point before wrapping up the video. See, near the neck here, I have stitched these two fancy buttons. Actually, I have stitched these buttons on the top. From inside, I have stitched these press buttons. Just to give some extra space when you open it, to pull the garment down the neck. Now this is totally optional. These buttons also I have made from the same kurta fabric, and then with some fabric glue I have stuck these stones on it. So see, our beautiful kurta is ready. So that's it friends. I hope I could explain you in detail how to make this beautiful kurta. So do try this costume for your kids. And as always, if you have any doubts, please comment below or reach me at dj2108@gmail.com. Thanks for watching this video friends. Bye bye.